And now we're back. So, here we go, Scott.
Okay, so you message me at work, and I have a flashback, and I won't say all my thoughts, but I had a few.
But what kind of thoughts were they? Positive or negative?
They were all negative.
They were sad, or they were just
Oh yeah,
angry?
I'm
Were you
thinking,
retaliating?
crap, here we go again.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Oh yes, the path switch bombshell you dropped on me last year. I don't even remember what month it was. November or December, one of the two. All I know, I was in shock.
And I think
I thought we
should heal
had
that.
a normal married life because I used to talk to my friends. All of my friends at work, we would, just talk about like how's things with you. Oh yeah, we do this, and that, and we do this, and that. And according to everybody I work with, I had a normal marriage. We didn't fight. We got along great. But somebody didn't think so.
That'd be me.
And I mean, gee whiz, I did I thought I was doing everything right because this is my first marriage. I've never had to. This isn't my second time around or third or whatever, so I don't have any other experience at this.
So apparently I'm
So
more
and I know,
experienced.
and you can't. Well, you can't believe everything you see on TV because that's just all. Most of it's just not. You don't judge it by what you see on TV or anything like that. So I only can talk to my friends and see how they react and talk to their wives and stuff like that. And I had everything what I thought was normal, except I wasn't married to a normal person.
That's the whole point. I had told him I'm not your average woman, and nor will I ever be. I tried to fit the role of what a woman was supposed to be, what a human was supposed to be, but there's no way I can. And it's not that I was lying to him. I was lying to myself because I didn't fully awake until after we were already in the marriage.
Yeah, you were a different person than I by this point.
Oh, what do you mean?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we got married. I don't know how to say it.
We were not awake, and we thought we were doing what we were supposed to be doing. No, now you got us all curious. Everybody in the chat room, listeners.
No, I mean, the things have changed over the years with you.
It got worse?
No, I didn't say it was worse. Why do you say worse?
I'm just asking. People are curious. Tell us how. How did it change?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Don't hold back, mister.
Okay, let's see. Yes, things were different nowadays, and well, there was other things in the equation.
Other things.
Well, anyway, like
we had other
fans
troubles.
And such, yes.
Okay, so I started to have more
that.
fame. I started to have more attention placed upon me. I never really considered myself as a pretty woman, and in his eyes, I do. He says, women. What's always your phrase? Women, what?
Oh, okay.
Women don't have trouble having to find men. Men have trouble finding
That's
women.
right. Any woman can get a landing guy. That's my opinion.
Not my belief.
I don't know. Yeah.
But because I learned to put myself out there and the energy is there as my authentic self, people found that attractive and were writing me, talking to me, and many other things, which caused a friction of attention.
And it's the way we all look in the mirror, too. Men will look in the mirror and see somebody 10 times more muscular, 10 times more handsome. And a woman looks in the mirror, a beautiful woman looks in the mirror and will see somebody that's not so beautiful. I can never understand that, Uh-oh.
In the chat room, Judy Flo says, my son said, watch out, brother. His name is Robert.
Yes.
Oh, well, that's very flattering. Thank
yes.
you. But the thing is that I could never take a thank you. I could never take a compliment. I could never take in any of those things because I was a kid that said, hey, I learned that if I had shown my best side, then I was ridiculed and dismayed and criticized because I was the 5th child and the youngest of one at that point. And we were very poor, so, oh great, another mouth to feed. Well, oh great, they get everything, I needed diapers or whatever, they needed new clothes for school. But they couldn't have the new clothes because I needed to be taken care of. So I could feel everybody's resentment, anger. I cost them money, I cost them their happiness, and so I learned to just shut up and stay quiet. I learned to not express myself. because I mean, I was learning to do art, but my sister was a better artist, and it's like, don't you dare steal that from me. And you know, that's the energy that I got at the time. Hopefully she's not watching this now, because if she is, she goes, well, I didn't think that, you know, but we're not going there. From my perspective, this is what I felt. And so I learned to be very shy, so I didn't want nothing to do with people or things. But now, I know that God's got my back. I know that there's more to me than what meets the eye. I'm stepping into who I am. So there's these old programs of behaviors, personalities, and the things that affect who and how you are. So my old pattern was shutting down, was starting to appear again one more time, and it was in the face of what Scott had to deal with. My life was unfolding, and he was at the beginning sculpting step of, hey, what do you want to do? Stay where you are, or do you want to grow in the direction of your wife? And like I said, I did a healing of the soul releasing, and for 3 days, how did you feel? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember.
You said it was hell. It's like Jesus.
Yeah, I do vaguely remember that, but it's a blur.
He felt like it was the worst 3 days of his life. He was willing to get a
worst
divorce.
was yet to come.
What was the comment?
Nothing.
The worst was yet to come. Oh, interesting. Okay.
Anyways.
And we'll have to explore that after the show.
Yeah.
Because tell signs like that are clues. They're telling you that there's some kind of pain hidden. Somebody asked you in there, so before you answer it, I want you to think about that.
My old patterns. What were my old patterns?
Well, all I know.
Let's see. My old pattern is I'd work my job from 8 to 5 with my hour lunch.
Yes.
I'd get home at 5:30 and I would feed the animals here on the farm. We had, ducks and chickens and all kinds of crazy animals.
He collected eggs, probably about 100 eggs a day. Maybe.
Oh my gosh, that was too many chickens. Oh, that was my pattern. That I would not get in until 6 or 6:30 or whatever.
No, we usually had dinner around 5:30. Then he would have to go back out and do more chores.
Hopefully,
he's changed his pattern so long that.
Yeah. So I guess those were my patterns, just working, and I don't know what else to say.
Well, he had shut himself down, and he had to he had to hang his hat of his dreams. And because before we got married, his true nature of who he was similar to me. He loved sci-fi, he loved UFOs, he liked learning all about what?
All the paranormal stuff.
All of that stuff.
Anything that was unusual. I mean, anything supernatural or anything anything that you couldn't explain away right away.
And he was totally into this. Now remember, he got married around 30 years old. And so he then stepped in and says, oh, I have to hang up my hat to do this because I am now a husband. And I think he took on those roles of what a husband was. And you had to put your toys away. And I didn't even know this part about him, which shocked me. From time to time, he would let me see the sci-fi stuff, but nothing about that he was really into this particular world that I'm in.
No, I had my books all put away in boxes, which I just showed you a few months ago.
Yeah, and so it's like, then he will tell you that he discovered later that the first time that I called him, because we kind of knew each other on and off for many years, because my boyfriend that died was his friend.
Yes.
And then I would return a chicken, and so he saw me then. I bought a car off of him, so he saw me then. We would see each other off and on at stores.
Over the years, from 1980-ish up till we got married in 1994.
And you know, he stole a kiss one time, but he refuses to say that's true.
I didn't steal a kiss. I ran away and you tackled me and kissed me. Yeah, that's what I remember.
No, but anyway. Then,
or was it we were on the lawn and you were looking at me?
I was looking at the car.
Wait, no, you were looking right at me like, please kiss me, farm boy. So.
Did not. I just was talking about the car. Can you fix the seatbelt? He lied to me. Why don't you tell that story? Come on.
At the time, one of my roommates was selling this car, and I was tired of working on everybody's cars
for free
because I knew how to do this stuff. And anyway,
he didn't want to tip his hand to me.
They had was it an old Monte Carlo? And the problem with this, I think, there was missing a fuse for the lights because it had one of these cars that when you shut the doors, the lights would stay on an extra 30 seconds. Well, there was something wrong with the timer in this car. The lights would never go off.
But it's a seatbelt.
Oh, seatbelt. Oh, that's right, the seatbelt in this car too.
I was trying to contemplate. Do I buy this car even though I don't have a
seatbelt wouldn't click right or something, and
I asked him how easy it is to fix that. Do you think it'll cost a lot from the car dealers?
and I just
And
played
it wasn't
dumb.
asking
I
to
said,
fix it.
I told her, I don't know how to do that, because I knew if I said I knew how to do it, I'd be doing it, and I was busy at the time.
Well, chances are I would have paid him. But I was trying to figure out, is this car worth buying?
Here we are. She gets a car for her sister drives or whatever, then flash forward, 6 or 8 years, when me and Brenda are married, we're going to the store, and she starts talking about seatbelts. And one thing, being a woman, she never forgets anything.
No, that's his belief system, and I think that's a good thing.
And then she asked me this harmless little seatbelt question, and right away being a chatterbox I was, I said, oh yeah, this is how you fix it, blah, 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 blah. And
I froze.
She goes,
what?
Aha! You knew that!
I was shocked.
Anyway, busted.
Yeah, you got busted.
10 years later, you knew how to fix that. You didn't. Well, you weren't married to me then, you know.
But the thing is that I had pursued him.
That's right.
Forgive,
not forget.
and pursued him. Why? Because Spirit told me so. I couldn't stand dating all the men that I had dated. God showed me there was a theme, and I said, well, I don't want that. Okay, it healed the attraction factor. Okay, then what is out there? If I don't know anything other but this, what's out there? And then I didn't hear anything, and then I said, you know what, I'm ready to get married. I'm so done with this. And then I heard his name, so that I called him up. We went on our first date.
That's in March. We got married in October.
Yeah, so what
both
are the magic numbers?
Well,
11,
let's
13,
see, March 11th, May 13th, and October 1st, if I remember correctly.
It was a quick flow because
well, we had known each other for a few years, seen each other off and on, and we just decided, we looked at each other and said, we don't want to go through all this dating crap, let's just skip that
No, it's a
part.
quick interview. But we enjoyed ourselves, and so we ended up getting married and stuff. So when I first called him, his first reaction, he didn't tell me this until last year, was, oh my God, he had a premonition.
I had a premonition of my own demise. I thought, oh man.
This woman's going to kill me.
Yeah, I thought, oh boy. Because...
But why did you choose to date me then if you knew I was going to kill you?
I figured, I don't know.
I'm 30 years old, damn it, I'm ready.
I wanted to see how it played out, I guess. It's going to take a sneaky, it'd take a sneaky son of a gun to get me, and that to get me while I was sleeping, you know. Ain't going to get me while I'm awake.
Little did he know that what I killed off was the human, or the ego part that says I'm supposed to be all this, all that. And I didn't kill it off. He just said, oh God, I do not want to lose my wife. What do I need to do? And so he, after the 3 days that he felt like Jesus, he literally was released from that hell.
Yes.
And all of the negativity and the anger and the frustration that you had built up all of those 17 years, it did what? It burned away.
Evaporated.
Okay, I'm giving you the word that I remember him saying was that it just burned up.
Yes.
So I don't know what he's doing. He evaporated.
Well,
I don't know where your mind is at. I'm watching you fiddle-faddle here. And
I'm just thinking lots of things, I'll say.
oh, so that's what's going on. His 41 thoughts are very heavy in his mind right now.
That's right.
So his shock he got yesterday, which I think we need to address. But what had happened was we pursued to fall in love again, make time for each other. I said, well, if you really want me, you're going to have to come to my classes, you're going to have to learn about me, and I'm not going to stop being who I am.
Last January 13th, I started going to your classes when you had them.
Yeah, and I had broke my promise to myself, which was I did stuff away who I was. And that was my choice based on the comfort zone of familiarity of how he was showing a reactionary pattern that I didn't know how to handle. All I knew how to do was to cope and deal with like I did as a 3-year-old, so I was going back into old patterns. So as that old pattern happened, well, it kind of threw me in a tizzy, and he had no idea what was going on, but my soul says, we're going backwards. No, we're supposed to move forwards. Now that you see this pattern, please write it down because you are the soul coach. Now go and heal it. Getting the courage to stand up and say to my husband, I'm so done again, which I know that the words that he hates.
That's right.
I chose to talk to him over the computer, but I had said, I feel the path switch again. This time I'm telling you ahead of time because you understand me. And I'm telling you this because you have a choice to grow with me or have another of saying that you didn't want to. And I thought he was on the same wavelength when I had wrote it, but he got stuck semantically on the word path switch, which brought up all of the history of what he remembered from last year, so he couldn't really hear what I had said. And even though I had explained it, it didn't quite sink in because semantically he's stuck on the word path switch. So that tells me that path switch, that word, has a lot of his personal life force, which needs to be addressed and healed. So that he can then not have to get stuck on those words. He can actually learn to grow with me. So does this make sense? Oh, and Karen says, when was this?
Yesterday.
I would have to say yes. Yesterday was when I told him,
Yeah.
a week ago, when I set my dissertation in that night. I can't remember, it was a Friday night. That was probably last week.
That was a week ago Friday.
And that's when the back pain, that's when all of a sudden it started to unfold of saying, Brenda, you're not listening to your higher self, you're not listening. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm not listening? And I had put myself in a dormant stage of, because I was coping and reacting to a reaction that he had done, which was very same signature as the kind that I had when I was little. Now, the one I had when I was little was probably more harsher, but it was still the same signature, which interfered because the only thing that my ego, the electromagnetic guiding omni-apparition, that lens, saw was that particular way that was coming at me. And I already had a pathway that said this is how you cope and handle it. And so I kept coming back. Now, this is what's the hugest part, because there's all different stages of healing. And for this one that I'm working on is one of those deeper, twisted, I should say, layers of what you have to heal. And it doesn't have to be hard. It's just that it is a strategy, it's a pattern, it's the when I got thrown off center, this is my coping and my mechanism, that I made a decision that worked. And as an adult, I didn't consciously aware of it, but unconsciously I go back and say, I know it worked then, I'm going to apply it now because that's just the way our brain works. But it would never work. It just caused me to be more and more out of sync with myself as I am at the age I am. So I had to go back and start paying attention to all these little things. I know it can sound confusing, but if you follow along and listen to me enough and be exposed to this, you have that great learning curve will be gone, and you will be able to just start being in sync with the words that I speak. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick little break, and we'll be back after this song. Thank you. Everything will represent life as. So what we're going to pick out is, well, I was looking through my papers. Let's see.
June says first son in 1960. Okay, my brother was born in 61, and actually my brother was born on my parents' anniversary, their second anniversary. And I was born in 63, my sister in 68. 68.
No, I'm 67.
You're 67, she's 68, so we're all about the same generation.
Yeah,
your
I would have
children
to say we are.
and I are. June, that's cool. 7 children, oh my gosh, and 9 years?
Oh,
that's a lot of kids
God.
in diapers at once, and back then you probably didn't have disposable diapers either. Oh man!
All right, well, tell her what your plan was for me.
Oh yeah,
We
tried this the regular kind of the cloth diapers for about a week.
Oh, I wasn't talking about that. Oh. I was talking about how you told me I'm fertile myrtle and.
Yeah, when Brenda and I got married in 1994, I said, okay, you're only, let's see, you're 27 or whatever. I said, if we have 1 kid a year, you could have 13 kids by the time you're 40. Yeah, she didn't like that idea.
No, he got his arm punched quite a bit every time he
didn't have the money
it.
for that many kids, so.
Oh, he said some way we would make it. Yeah, right. Yeah. I would have to.
I thought, hey, cool to have a dozen kids. But.
No. Okay, so what I'm going to point out is the spine.
The spine.
Now, the main thing that's really bothering my spine happens to be L3. L3 and the Dorn method, if you look up Dorn method, L3, 4, and 5 represents sexual problems, lethargy and digesting, lack of security, feeling of guilt. Now, if you ever look at what the stomach meridian is at, the stomach meridian is a line that starts at the top of the cheekbones, goes up and around the face, and down, and it comes off your second toe. My second toes, my toenails are curved, and it's always looking at my big toes on both feet. So my spiritual life and my physical life both have issues in the stomach meridian area, which is about the connection to earth. The other part of the stomach meridian is about how people morph. It's the alarm. It is to knowing where your safety. You can be very sympathetic or too sympathetic. You're disgusted by things. When's it my turn? You know, the expansion, importance of self. The obsession, can't stop the controlling thoughts. Egotistic, going from one extreme, despair, nervousness, and stifled. That stomach meridian is very huge because for me, I've always seen it as it is when the energy comes in, your liver says, well, I don't know what to do with it, so then it goes to the next point, and the stomach goes, oh my God, I recognize this, and this is how we're going to cope with it. My stomach, I don't have indigestion or heartburn, I just don't have, my body is not producing enzymes that it's supposed to, so I have to take stuff on the side to get my body to do so. This is more of a genetic path line because my mother's toenails were the exact same way. And you would think because it's a stomach meridian, it would affect just the stomach. No, it affects the spine, it affects the lungs, it affects the feminine part of you, and it affects also the spleen and the liver. It is the way they coherently talk to one another. Genetic line is different than a past life line, and how it is that each generation will pass down the same familiar comfort zones, habits, behaviors, coping mechanisms, and it's time for us to resolve that. That's why it's so important that I'm on this planet, to help you understand from my point of view of what it means. I mean, there's probably other people that are doing the same thing. But so we go a little bit further, and L3 says that it can have pregnancy problems, menstrual pain, menopause, bladder, knee aches, inconsistence, or bedwetting. Now, I never had any problems with those things, but I did lose my feminine part it was funny because when I would have my menstrual cycle, I never had a problem. I was always on time, never had any pain, never was nauseous, never, mine was awesome. Because I had healed anyway, all the stuff that says you're supposed to have these things. No, you don't. I mean, because from what I was told by Spirit was that that's an implant, a planted suggestion. You're not supposed to have any issues. You're supposed to be wise enough to know when certain things are coming in and how to read it. But I did lose my feminine part, and it was a 5-pound tumor.
7.
And it was huge. It was the size of a baby. The package looked like a heart shape. I lost the picture in the fire. It's okay, I didn't need it anyway. But L3 on another, from Louise Hayes, L3 represents the sexual abuse, guilt, and self-hatred. Now, the sexual abuse I had taken care of, but the guilt, now imagine back what happened to my spine back when we got the TV set. The judgment that was coming at me, I was taking in all this guilt and shame. I should have done this for them. Well, I shouldn't have done this. And it was all of this, their talk and their words and their beliefs, and all I could hear was the bombardment of them, and there was no space in my head for me. So then I would do the self-denigration, well, I should have done this, I should have done that, which really was affecting me. I mean, I did a big chunk of healing this morning. Now, I didn't sleep well, my back hurt, but yet, as I was trying to get my underwear on, which is the most difficult thing in the world when you can't bend yourself in half, I had maneuvered my left foot just enough that my back popped. It was loud, and I sat there for a second thinking, okay, it either is good and it went back in, or it's
10 times worse.
And I sat there and I breathed and I said thank you, and I thought about the color of that my fear was, and so I pulled that out of me and put it in the treasure chest, and lo and behold, I'm okay. Now, I have to, I feel like it's back in, but then what your body then has to do is get ahead of the pain that it had built up from the chemical peptides. So I had taken an aspirin to thin the blood. I put a cold pack on my back to help calm the nerve down. And I have to say, I'm pretty impressed the fact that I don't really have much. I do feel like a little sciatica, but other than that, I know that I stood up, what my soul wanted me to do, and face the reality that I can either stay stifled and continue on that pattern, or I can be done with that particular way of functioning and be happy and healthy. So I took the fact that I've been here, done that. I'm going to take it on the whispered opportunity and not the bee slap, that I don't need it. Now I'm going to look up, let's see here.
Sciatica?
Yeah, I was going to look that up because...
Nerve pains in the hips and thighs due to...
Pinched nerve.
Okay, pinched nerve, okay.
And the key phrase is, I don't want to know. The direction they're going is causing deep inner pain. Now, for my 45-year-old self, that's not true. But for my 3-year-old self, is, oh my God, yes, you're going into a world of hurt. What are you doing? You've had this happen before. What are you doing? Now, that is where you have to really pay attention to decide you want to heal it, which they don't want to feel, so they seek to ignore it. What didn't I want to feel? I didn't want to feel their discomfort. I didn't want to feel how they were reacting, how angry they were going to be. And so I did heal a big chunk out of my stomach meridian and my heart. So I feel like this is just last remnants. It goes on further, it says they are avoiding knowing what is really going on and what they are really experiencing. They come in from a denial-dominated, self-defeated program. Yeah, I was supposed to deny myself, and I was dominated to believe that I was defeated and I had to do what they say. But I knew that this wasn't my husband. I knew he wasn't trying to defeat me. I knew he wasn't trying to dominate me and put me in my place and say this is who I had to be. And so I had to take the courage and the risk to say, honey, this is what's going on in my life. I hope you can hear me because I want to grow and I want you to come with me.
Yes.
I don't want to die. I don't want my body to give up on me. And so I'm listening, and this is what needs to be done. Now, a little bit further in sciatica, there's several other things. I'm just going to do the key phrase. The naiveness. They are gullible and insufficient and critical in their judgmental cause. Ties that grind. Mother, please, I'd rather do it myself. Or creativity, anxiety, or hypercritical. These are different ways that can fall under the sciatica. Now, I'm sure this big book has all of the spine and lumbar and all of this, but it's learning to find it is quick on a draw and continue to talk. It's like walking and chewing gum at the same time, as well as patting your head and rubbing your tummy, which I can do all those. So that tells me I have a pathway that I can do this one as well. The third, lumbar, which again is paying attention to what God wants you to pay attention to, which just fell in my lap, trapped in the past. And the book I'm reading out of in this case is Messages from the Body by Michael J. Lincoln. So being trapped in the past, they were the victim of emotional and physical sexual abuse, and they're full of guilt and self-hatred as a result. They feel totally unsafe in the world, and they can trust no one because it felt like God raped them. They have profound sexual shame and revolution. Now, again, I had taken care of all of that sexual abuse that had occurred. But what did the lingering effects was the pattern of, as soon as I watch their reaction, how they're going to insert their reality, and how I go into a behavior of coping. This whole world needs to learn how to process instead of coping and dealing and taking care of it. No, I see patterns. It's time to, now being in that spiritual human, me and my husband were talking about something this morning, and I was like, oh my God, this is what's happening. And he started to give me an example of how people in the past, he says, well, I've never let it get to me because I think it's because I had lived with his roommates for God, how many years, and then have all those friends constantly picking and insulting.
Oh, yeah.
He says it creates
we built up pretty good armor on our bodies by then. In other words, you can call, hey, you lunkhead. Oh, how you doing today, you know? Yeah. It wouldn't even faze us.
Right.
Nothing would affect us.
But that is also the human way of doing it, which I'm not insulting.
We
But
know.
this is why we still have diseases, why we have issues in our daily life, because we've learned to put calluses and cope. And for me, I'm digging deeper and I'm starting to notice a pattern, and I want it out. That's what I want. So if we go a little further, it says their abuse occurs so early that they took it as their just desserts. And I would have to say, yeah, here we go again. Brought home the TV, and this is my just dessert. I should have somehow known that I shouldn't have done this because of this person's reality. But again, that's their reality, it's not mine, and I'm ready to really heal that 3-year-old issue. It goes a little further and says, it also had the effect of generating a deep distrust of the universe due to the confusion of the home office. All that is with the parents at the early age, so they fully expect the universe to screw them over. Now, what's funny is that our Powerball game is up to how many millions?
Over 500 million.
And I thought to myself, because when you heal the past and that's taking something out, and then you build the future that's adding something, I said, I believe I can win this. My buddy says, no. And I said, wait a minute, why? Because you're not allowed to. They wouldn't let you. And I'm like, I'm not allowed to have something good. So that's when I started to really heal on the heart level of when my family would see that I had something, they would have to be mad. It's like when the one caller called in one time, which really, I felt for her because she was very young and inherited a house. You know, and with the house, you also inherit the bills and everything else that you have to do, you know, to keep upkeep. And so she's used to the universe handing things to her without her having to work hard for it. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. But then we had somebody in the chat room that thought it was important to say that caller shouldn't deserve that house. Now, I'm telling you that this person's reality does not need to have to affect this other person's, but yet it is a clue, and it's the attraction factor, so I had to pay attention to everything. And there was all this criticism and shame and guilt, and I'm like, oh, seriously? I wanted to make sure this woman, and I can't remember how open she was, but we need to heal that so that she didn't have to play this game with this reality anymore. And so that's what I had to heal, because I looked at that. My husband bought a ticket and says, honey, let's just play. And I thought, sure, why not?
$2, I mean.
You know, why not? And so then it was, well, why can't I have this? Why? And I could really feel that it was like my older siblings noticing I got a new bike. My mother had started work, and the girl from work, and I think her name was Ruby, I can't remember if I was 2 or 3, she bought me a brand new little bike, and it was red. And so I called it my Ruby bike. And I remember that I almost didn't want to touch it because everybody, the resentment, the hate, the judgmentalness, the stuff that...
Why did you get something and we didn't?
Exactly. And I think that was my very first thing about, oh my God, what am I doing? Because then I was a little older, and I was with my stepfather, and he was with his friend, which is a friend of the family. Oh, he says, I want to buy you something. And I'm looking at him like, oh, this is exciting. No. Inside it was like, oh, woohoo! But now outside me was no. Went down to the corner store. You know, I've told this story before, and it was, okay, what would you like? Nothing. And, oh yeah, you do? Okay, well, what would your sister like? Oh, she wants that watch, she wants this, she wants this, she wants this. So the guy bought it all. And he says, no, you make sure you give it to your sister. What do you want? Nothing. My stepfather pulled me aside, pick something! You know, be nice, pick something. I took a candy bar and a comic book. I couldn't even tell you what they were. I think it was a Snickers and a Bugs Bunny or something. But I apparently knew the value of things. So I just said, here, I'll take the cheapest I can get so that you'll shut up and I can just get out of the store. Even though I really just wish you could say, here, this isn't for your sister, it's for you! But I never got anybody to do that to me. So it's that unwinding all of these things that we do to ourselves. Now what are we going to do? Again, a break comes up very quickly. We're going to go to the other song. Apparently I have to get more songs in my song box, which I will. Alright, be back to this. Now we're back. A little bit more about my story in the lower part of my spine, because it is all 5. It's about insecurity, no way out, and feeling powerless and feeling no support. Now, I get great support from everybody. I'm thinking, okay, that don't make any sense to me. What do you mean I don't get support? It's when I have to give extra support to these people that should have their own support, like doing something on the computer, which shouldn't be hard to do, and you've explained it 1,000 times, but yet there's a part of them that says, hey, I want you to bond with me. Come here and show me how to do this. And the next thing you know, you have to start living their life to some degree. And that's the other part of this twist, is that that's what ended up happening. My mother was dying. I had to end up living her life while I took care of her while she died. And then I had to take care of a landlord. I was living his life. And I was like, wait a minute, where the hell's my life? So the common thread is somebody inserting their reality into my existence. So either I shut up or I live their life. But one way or the other, this is the energy that seems to play it back. And it needs to be finished with. This is the era that's so important to, learning to listen to your soul, finding that soul language that can really tell you what it is that's going on. Why is my life projecting this way? Why is the law of attraction doing this to me? Well, on the quantum law of attraction, which means the mirror refracts many times over, you get to understand that there's a common thread that happens in these things, and usually there's a first moment that occurs when you're quite young. And it's about usually how you couldn't cope, or how you coped in that moment. And we're saying that we're going to teach you how to heal those coping mechanisms that you had done, and the way that you reacted, those limited decisions, knowing that it worked for you once, now you're trying to keep applying it in the future. And you're not doing this consciously, it's all unconsciously. But we're helping you understand you can resolve these particular things so that you can evolve. You can teach you how to heal instead of just deal with life. It's so important to know how to process. So that is what I'm basically teaching, and it sounds like I'm constantly repetitively telling my story or repeating the same things, but it's so important that this key piece that we missed as a child. Key piece that we missed was generations, because that wasn't a time to have them. We weren't allowed to know them. And now it is this time. This is the generation. I'm not talking about the newer kids. I'm talking about every single person on this planet that is supposed to be aligned with this reality. It is learning in this generation how to cope, right? By processing. And the old way of coping needs to be resolved or healed away. And it's changing those thought patterns and beliefs so that you don't have to live in your own reality of, oh, this group consciousness says I have to repeat history. No. You have your individual spirituality, and when somebody else has their individual spirituality, sometimes you don't mix. But when you learn to communicate and grow and be yourself, you can come into alignment with the other person. Neither one of you need to compromise. Because literally, as I was explaining this to my husband, he goes, oh, you compromised! Yes, I do. Without knowing it, I learned as a kid that one of my coping things is I'm supposed to compromise! Surprise! And all that did to me was started to destroy me as I began to get older. So it is learning, and through help, we can all do this together. So I've created a web page, and it's slowly building, and it's taking the time. But I'm going to be offering a couple different classes. One is this very specific class, which I used to call Empowerment Through Enlightenment, but it's Spiritual Enlightenment. And it is taking and delivering a message from the Spirit and applying it to your life. Seeing where the familiarity is, do you recognize this? How can we heal it? And then again, we'll be pointed to where the tools are. The other class, which I haven't really settled on the name yet, but I believe it's the Hope Therapy class. What that boils down to is you come to the classroom, depending on how many people are there, you will I'll pick somebody out of that, give a reading, and then we'll start tracking back how your life has evolved from the point of that creation of it to why is it in your space now. We will do spiritual investigations, some jam sessions, and maybe use some healing tools. And we may just tell you to go hold S1 or R2S right now, and you will already have an idea of what the healing tools are. And you'll get to do this live interaction, and I can tell you as I weave in and out of your energy, nope, you're not done yet, think about this in that area, and you'll feel the familiarity of go in that direction. So there's all these different things. So I had to keep the classes separate because they can run on forever if I don't. And they're just an hour long, and I haven't figured out, I'm trying to figure out a different price range for everybody, but I can't have it too low. I need to find a medium, and maybe I might end up having some special edition cards that goes out to people so they can have special deals. Well, can everybody have it? Well, that depends on spirit, because I think it was you that I was talking to.
No.
Did you remember the word 600 people?
Yes.
Okay, so tell the story. You were listening
Oh.
to NPR, and they had a particular segment of
Oh,
how
yeah.
people...
Yeah, this one guy, they were talking about how people, when you feel, I don't know,
The need?
indebted to somebody or something.
Okay.
I'll give you the example of the story they had on NPR. They talked about this
Hands
this guy, this guy who, as a study back in 1974, I think is what year it was, he went and he picked couple of phone books from these outlines, little towns around him or whatever, and picked random people he didn't know out of the phone book, and he ended up, I think, sending 600 Christmas cards that year, out to complete strangers, just complete strangers. And he said he got back over, I think, what did he say, 310 replies or whatever. He still had, this guy to this day, still had all the cards in a scrapbook and everything. But some of these people wrote back in 2 or 3 page letters, and they were talking about it's human nature that if somebody gives you something, you want to give something back. And they also talked in this segment about how some of these places that want money, I don't know, Salvation Army or whoever, that that need funds to exist and operate, the ones that actually mail you these little, and I think everybody's gotten these little return address labels with your name on it and everything. It says the typical donations go up from, I think, 18% to like 30-some% donation rate when they give a little gift like that. Like we got something here, was a couple weeks ago, they had a nickel and 2 pennies or something taped right to on the front of the envelope.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, wow, they're just really trying, but they must realize it pays more. And they were talking about how waiters and waitresses, the ones that bring you out a little mint on your plate, will get like a 2 or 3% better tip on average or something, just from that little
Adding an
act.
extra one.
Yeah, and they were talking all these different things. They were talking about how people need to reciprocate, to give back, to, and that's the businesses about how to use that to their advantage.
Back in the old days, you used to have manners to the point where you're supposed to say thank you, and if you had somebody had a birthday, you get them a card. Going to school, the teacher always got an apple, and when you if you had a birthday, you had to celebrate with everybody. There was always this kindness that had, an act of kindness that had went a long way. My one girlfriend, she was still instilled in that, and so when her kids were still in school, I mean, she was dishing out tons of money every week for something. She says, I can't keep up with it. I says, well, maybe you're not supposed to do it anymore, or maybe you're not supposed to do it as an intense anymore. And that was really hard for her to think about, and why she was doing it. The energy of how people that, because of the greed that sometimes is on this planet, that one bad apple that can spoil the whole bunch, now people are like, you're talking to me, please don't. If you got something to sell, shut up. I mean, especially these harassments of phone calls, buy this, take this. Here's a free thing, but there's a hitch to it. And so people think that there's a hidden agenda behind it, so why even participate? The meaning of giving to charities has almost lost its ability because it has been, oh, you just want me for my money. People have built up this resentment into this hate.
It's because of the one newscast or news item about the one fake charity out there that keeps 99% of the money.
Bad apple.
Yeah, the one bad apple. Then everybody thinks every charity's like that.
Right, and so I've come across this when I go to talk. I want people to, I call it just FYI, for your information. I just was giving information. I have no agenda. I just want you to know that I'm available if you need me, because what I've learned in the process is that I was handing out and helping people heal. They're like, well, do you sell it so I don't have to go anywhere else? No. Do you sell it? No. Finally, I started selling the stuff in the store so people didn't have to go out. And then I had people that say, oh, you just want my money. I'm like, whoa! And you're damned if you do and if you're damned if you don't. I'm thinking, wow, this really is the consciousness on the planet.
Yeah.
And even though you're trying to do it in a matter of convenience and things like this, but it gave me an idea anyways. And I feel like I need to pick, and then with Spirit, how many people to give a free reading to, or send out another set of cards to say Merry Christmas. You know, every day I make sure I acknowledge people that have birthdays on Facebook, and I go out of my way to say happy birthday because, you know, there's a reason they're born. You may as well say happy birthday. And it's part of the way of going back to having certain manners and have kindness. And the kindness is very important. It doesn't have to be that you have to give anything in return, because we are also taught, you're not supposed to expect anything in return, that's just wrong! But there has to be this giving and receiving, and they both have to exist in order for the flow of the opposites to work. And it's so important. So I feel like I'm supposed to be inspired to do something, and I have no idea. That's where I feel that if I do these classes, I may send out some things and let Spirit speak to me and tell, you know, here, send this out to these random people that they get free classes for a month. Or send this out to people and say, you know, just thinking of you today. I'll never forget with a couple of Facebook people, I only met them through Facebook. I got a Christmas card one year, and then I got a happy birthday card one year. I mean, live things. I mean, it's so funny because when you start out, you're like, oh my God, I want an email. Now you get like 700 emails a day. At least that's what I get, it seems like. And now you get no land mail, snail mail. You don't get that mail. And then all of a sudden you get something in the mail, you're like, honey, look, somebody wrote me. Oh my God, this is exciting.
Yes. Yes.
You know,
that's
so if
different.
I'm going to do this, as a part of me, it feels like I need to find the addresses and send them. But then there's so many people that are like, oh my God, how'd you find my address? You know, because they want to stay undercover. And you're like, oh. And it's not that you have to think about pleasing anybody. It's just that I'm going to be moved by Spirit. And hopefully Spirit will just tell me who I'm supposed to address, who I'm supposed to talk to, and whoever wants it. That I will start being called and come in a line with the people that want what I have to offer. You know, and if you want to go deeper, yes, I am a soul coach. I practice. So if you wanted something deeper, you can pay for it. You know,
Right.
a private one-on-one. But I do my best to give what I can and where I can. So, we have a caller.
Oh.
So we'll take
okay.
this, and that'll be right before our show ends. So hopefully I'll get all it taken care of.
Okay. Area code 720.
You're on the air with Brenda and Scott.
Hello.
Hello, how can I help you?
Yeah, I'm kind of going through this stuff. I'm getting ready to start school in January, and I just changed my name. I mean, I've got a lot of stuff going on,
Mm-hmm.
and my biggest question is, am I going to be able to keep my job through all this school stuff?
All right, she wants to know if she can keep her job. So you have to focus on the job that you have, so that they can understand what you're particularly talking about. So focus on that. And the question is, will she be able to keep her job while all this is happening? Whoa.
Okay. Yeah, I
We
think
got
I only got to
3
read the
cards.
notes.
Well, let's just see here.
What are they?
Ah,
Deep freeze.
Well-
Understanding.
and Spark. Okay, so they're all reversed. So as I look at, the first thing that is the Deep Freeze card, number 26.
But it's
and I will-
reversed.
Yes, and I will pick out what's needed. And it says, there's nothing you can do right now that will amount to anything substantial, no matter how much you try to push, manipulate, and cajole. So sit back and wait as the school
it play
situation is playing out, because it's still unfolding. Okay, if you're in anxiety and all of this other stuff, and you either are going to make decisions where you're going to pull away, or you're going to fear that you're going to lose it, you can affect it. So just be calm and just know that you've always came out ahead on whatever it is that you did. If you're supposed to have a job somewhere else, it will be lined up and handed to you, because this is how Spirit works. Number 41, it's called, what is it called, Scott?
Let me see the card and get a closer.
Unexpected visitors.
Unexpected visitors. Okay.
And it's reversed. It said, unpleasant news is only unpleasant when you resist accepting what is. So sometimes this idea that you've lost your job. Oh my God! But what if it's a blessing in disguise? What if some people just also come over and they go, oh my God, this is what happened, blah, 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 and you're like, oh my, Well, what if it is their fears that are talking and it's not even true about what's happening?
Sometimes when you lose a job, it's not the worst thing in the world.
Correct.
The first good office job, I thought it was a good job I had back in '89. I remember when I went to England on vacation, they replaced me while I was gone. How nice of them.
Yeah.
But that was actually the nicest thing that was the nicest thing they could have done, because the next place I got hired in right after that, I've been with them, it'll be 20 years this summer. So it's,
And he's happy and loves his work.
Yeah. And the people that I had worked for before, they were not good, honest people,
Oh,
let's
no,
say.
no.
And I'm just glad I wasn't in that environment. And even though the people I work for now, they're deeply religious, they never try to shove their religion on anybody, but they are just good people. And I like working for them, you know.
Right.
I just,
And we're almost done with the show,
yeah, I
but a
better
real
shut
quick
up then.
thing that I want to say is that the last card was Spark, and it was in reverse.
90 seconds.
Sometimes your fire gets doused by others who don't want you to be all that you can be. All I can tell you is that just listen to spirits, be synchronized, and know that you're going to land on your feet,
Yes.
and you're going to be in the right direction, and you're going to have it. Just don't fall for all these people that are in their pains and aches and worries, because then they can drive you down a hole and take you down to a bitch slap, and you're like, what the hell? So just pay attention, because God's got your back, and I'm sending angels out there to have your back, whether you're going to have this job or not, because right now it's unfolding. I want to thank you for calling in, my dear. We do have to go, and I will talk to you next time, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you, dear. All right, bye-bye. So we got 5 seconds, and he's going to hit it, and so we thank everybody in the chat room, and we thank you for everything. We're going to put it up, so out we go.